Okay, so as soon as guys settle down, thank you. You guys probably have been wondering, who the fuck is this guy on stage? Who is this clown dancing up and down, speaking in American English, although he's not American, he's Norwegian. Hi, I'm Vidar Anderson. I'm a Norwegian by birth, but I've been living in Cologne for about the last 10 years. I'm quite active in the startup scene of Cologne. I'm also here as an international facilitator, which means I'm also a volunteer. I'm also here without any pay. I volunteer for the organization called Up Global. It's the non-profit out of Seattle, Washington, and London who actually makes these kinds of events available all over the world. So I'm also a startup founder. I have founded some hits, some misses, some horrible misses. One that's still a hit after 14 years, but that's how you do it. You know, you go up, you go down. You know the difference between a failure and success is that the successful one picks himself or herself up even the 99th time and goes for the 100th. So I also do teach, because I wish that there would be someone that had told me a lot of the stupid things, to avoid a lot of the stupid things that I've done in my life when it comes to founding companies. So I do also teach the Lean Launchpad at universities around Europe. I was invited by Steve Blank, the father of the Lean Startup, a couple of years ago. So I've been trained at Stanford to teach his curriculum around the world, especially around Cologne. I want to help the young founders before they sort of go to the dark side. We have a question.
Sorry, what's Cologne? It's like a Deutschland?
Do you have geography in school? It's the the fourth largest city of Germany. It's in the middle of Germany, almost on the border of the Netherlands. It's called Köln, but the rest of the world outside of, the English-speaking countries and the French know it as Cologne. It's actually where cologne comes from. That's why it's called Cologne. It's not because the city was named after perfume. The perfume is actually named after the city. And it's also, as we're talking about Cologne, sort of my preferred home city, it's also the only language that you can drink and speak. Our beer is called Kölsch, and we also have an own language, and it's called Kölsch. So come to Cologne, I'll give you all Kölsch. So, I do teach, because that's a pet peeve, and I also do innovation programs based on the scientific method, based on entrepreneurship for some of the largest companies in the world. So if there's some large companies here, please come and speak me afterwards. I have something to sell you. And I also do a lot of organizing. I'm a startup weekend organizer of Cologne. That's also how I got in touch with this organization. So I know the pain the organizational crew has been through. It takes a lot to put on this event, but they make it look so easy. So, if you want to know more about me, you can go to vidaranderson.com. There's more than nobody would ever like to know, so you can have a look at that. And this weekend, let's go back to you, because that was more than enough about me. Who here, let's try again. Who here is going to pitch an idea? Those guys over there still don't want to pitch. I'm sure we're going to get some of them after this. I have to remind you guys, this is the safest environment in the world to pitch something. We're all entrepreneurial, we all want to support you. And if you think that if you pitch your idea, someone's going to steal it, well, maybe that idea isn't very valuable after all. Because if it's so easy to copy you, then maybe you should just give it a rest. Maybe that idea is actually pretty crappy. Because no one is ever going to steal your idea. It's always about execution, execution, execution. So, I hope to see more of you guys coming up to the stage, pitching later. We'll get to that. So, who here came to meet some new people? I definitely did. Great. Who here came to find someone to start a company with? Great. And maybe above all, who here came to learn something on the weekend? I certainly did. It's my first time in Riga. I'm loving it already. Thank you for having me. So, we probably will find someone to work with, hopefully, by the end of today. And we are going to see that we are actually a part of a much bigger family. I think Startup Weekend is safe to say is probably one of the largest, if not the largest, entrepreneurial community worldwide. And we have now, I think these numbers, if you can see them, I'm not sure, I'll speak what's on the slides. We have had, I think by now, over 130,000 entrepreneurs going through a Startup Weekend event. We have had over 13,000 startups founded at a Startup Weekend. And I think this is also obsolete. We have now at least over 730 cities worldwide who has Startup Weekends. You're not alone. Here's proof. All around the world, this weekend, right now, some idiot like me is dancing on stage, speaking, preventing you from pitching still. So we're not alone. There's 16 other Startup Weekends just right now, all over around the world. And of course, none of this amazing scale would have been possible if it wasn't for our amazing European and global sponsors. In Europe, and I see you're looking at this and going, European Commission? What the hell does that have to do with startups? Well, actually, they have founded something called Fireware. Anybody heard here about Fireware? One, amazing. So it's a set of APIs and tools for the cloud, which are free to use. So if you're looking into doing something with the cloud, have a look at Fireware. A lot of free tools available from the European Commission. And of course, we have some fantastic global sponsors. .co is going to give you one domain for 1 year for free. So there's absolutely no excuse not to have a domain. You get one for free. And then we have Google for Entrepreneurs. They'll be happy to provide you hosting. There's a $300 credit for their cloud program called Google for Entrepreneurs. Coca-Cola, in some cities, they provide, for instance, vitamin water. What are we here for? Well, we already talked about pitching ideas. So it's going to start with you guys pitching your idea. Then we're going to vote. Anybody here been to Startup Weekend before? Who's been to Startup Weekend before? Okay, I'll go slower. It all starts, because we have a lot of Startup Weekend virgins here, which is great. A lot of new people. So we're going to start with seeing your idea here on stage, 60 seconds, talking about your idea. Then you guys are going to vote. It's peer voting. You guys decide which deserve to proceed. Then we're going to select. There's probably going to be a little bit too many good ideas. So we have to make sure that only enough teams can be formed. We cannot have like 10 teams or like 100 teams of one people. So we're going to do a little bit of selection. That means the selected ones that has the most votes get to form teams. And this is an important concept. Not only do you have to pitch once and get voted, you also, if you get voted, have to form a team. There's no automatic sort of success guaranteed. You actually first have to pitch, and then you have to pitch again to find your teammates. You have to make sure you get the skill sets on board. You have to sell your idea to the team. You have to find your co-founders. And then, hopefully, you will get your team together, and then it's time to work. And how's that gonna happen? Well, after this, after we pitched, this room here is going to be turned into a work area. So we're gonna work here, and there's relaxation and chill out and breaks in the other room just beside. We have, I think there's a football table, there's a ping pong table, there should be refreshments in the hall, but here we work. And then the whole idea is, if you were the one who pitched, then is the time for getting the other people that are new to your idea on board. You have to dump your brain on them. You have to make sure they know just as much as you do. You have to make them see your vision. And once they've onboarded, once they also see the world like you painted it for them, you need to start making some decisions about what you're going to be doing. Because there's something happening on Sunday. You're going to be up here on stage again, presenting in front of a jury. So if you want to get shit done on this weekend, make sure you start tonight delegating. Make sure you have some milestones. Make sure you have an idea of what you want to achieve and who's going to do what on this weekend. And who here has heard the word MVP? Okay, that's about half. MVP means minimum viable product. That's how we nowadays talk about what we used to call prototypes in the past. You can think about it differently than a prototype, that an MVP is the minimum thing you can build on the weekend that will start gathering real market data, real input from real customers, real users. What that MVP would be, that's up to you. And we also heard already there's going to be great coaches. So on the way, you can also get feedback from the coaches about your thinking about the MVP, about your prototype. If you're in doubt what you're going to be building, do consult the great coaches that we have here. So that's what we're going to be doing on this weekend. And before we start here with the pitches, there are some questions that always pop up. For instance, can I pitch something, can I present something that I've already started on? No. This is Startup Weekend. And that's an important concept about Startup Weekend. Startup Weekends have the same level playing field for everybody. So if you've been working with a team on something for 6 months, and someone just came in the door with an idea they had yesterday, you're not on equal terms. So no, you cannot come here and work on something you have already been working on. And how do we define that? Well, I usually say if you've committed code, if you programmed something, then you already worked on it. If you pitched it somewhere else, probably you worked on it. So we will find out, no doubt about it, if you already worked on it. We have a sort of sixth sense when it comes to that. We can smell it. And if we find out that you're trying to cheat, we're going to cheat you. We will let you pitch, we will let you work on it, but when you come to the stage, we will say, oh, sorry, we found out you've been working on it. And everybody will know that you tried to cheat and we fooled you and let you work on it. So, equal for equal, you cheat us, we cheat you. Fair? All right. So, another thing, can I pitch 2 ideas? No. This is a little bit like Rosemary's Baby. You have to pick one favorite baby. You can only get to pitch 1. Why? Well, we also want to start working on something today. I mean, if you guys can pitch and pitch and pitch, we'll probably be here until Sunday and we haven't worked on anything. So pick one idea. Pick your favorite for this weekend. And now this is very important. Especially, I've noticed this also, I was recently in Vilnius. And in Vilnius, there was a lot of sad faces when a lot of ideas did not get picked. So what if your idea does not get picked? Gee, do you think life of entrepreneurship is a competition or like this? No, this is about fun. It's about learning. Join another team. Influence the other products. Figure out what you can do with other people. This is about finding new potential co-founders. This is about learning. It's about finding new people that you can work with. So don't go home if your idea get picked. That's just sad. You know, this is about fun. Let's stay here and have some freaking fun, okay? I mean, get your money's worth at least, you know? There's food for those dollars that you paid for this event. So, can I still work on my idea if I'm not selected? And I like that question more because it's sort of entrepreneurial. It says like, well, I recognize that life is not a competition like this, and if I didn't get voted, I can still maybe work on it. Can I not? Well, you can. But know that it's going to be fucking hard if you're the only one. Startups with one person usually don't survive very well because it's so much bloody work. But I'm going to let you. If you can come to me on Sunday and proven that you built an MVP, and not just a glorified PowerPoint, because it's easy to blow a PowerPoint, but that's not a startup. If you can prove to us that you actually built something and you're alone, fine, we'll let you present, we'll let you compete, no problem. But be aware it's going to be fucking hard. It's hard enough already, but with one person it's going to be gruesome. It's going to be incredibly hard. And for the pitches today, can I use a PowerPoint? Can I use a keynote? No, you cannot, because you have only 60 seconds. So once you click, we have to applaud and you're off. We don't have time. You only use your voice. You can use flags, you can use pantomime, you can sing, but there's no slides for you today. 60 seconds, ruthless seconds. I'm going to kick your ass physically off stage if you go over. I promise you. On Sunday, you're going to be able to use slides. Fine. But we're going to talk about that Sunday morning, not now. Why are we going to talk about that Sunday morning? Because if I tell you today, you'll start building your presentations today, and that's not what we're here for. We're here to build. And furthermore, we're here also to get the fuck out of this venue. Have you heard? Get out of the office? Get out of the building? Have you heard about how startups should go out of the building? It's a super simple concept. In here, there are only your fantasies. Outside of this building is where the facts live. The market is out on the internet. It's out in the streets of Riga. They're not in here. So you have to take your fantasies from in here and take them out on the internet, take them out on the streets of Riga and test them. You have to go out and talk to real customers, real potential users. So if I see a lot of teams here who are just sitting around and we're paying attention, not going outside, we are going to kick your ass. Because, you know, all those fantasies, you can be spending years building bullshit that no one wants. But if you had gone out of the office and talked to some potential customers, you could figure it out on a weekend that, oh shit, nobody likes this, so this is actually not a problem, or nobody cares enough about this. All right. So, what the hell are we going to be doing? Well, we are going to be pitching. That means I think we should have a long line in the middle here of people lining up who wants to pitch. And then you come up on stage. You have 60 seconds flat, not 61. This boot will make sure you're on the 60. And then once you've done that, you go over here on the piece of paper, which is now hidden behind that banner. You write your name of your pitch and you stay in this room. Why do we not leave before we heard all the other pitches? Well, what if you're not picked? What if your idea is not voted on? Which team would you join if you haven't seen the other pitches? So please stay in the room. And when everybody's finished, we're going to take those papers, you're going to take your own paper, take it over to the relaxation room, and pin it on the wall. There are some white, I guess you can call it almost cardboard-like structures, which will make it easier for you to hang. If you have a look at this wall, it's not going to be easy to hang anything because it's brick. So go in there after all the pitches and hang your piece of paper. Then we're going to be voting. And the voting is over there in the other room. Now, what is a pitch? Who here has pitched before? All right, so let's take a couple of minutes of talking about what a good pitch should have. And especially what a startup weekend pitch needs to have. It's always good to say your name, but you always have to say which problem or need you're solving, which problem or need you're solving, and how you're going to solve it. Exactly how am I going to solve for this problem or need? Now this is standard startup fare. This is what you usually pitch. And now, there's something special you need to be thinking about, because this is startup weekend. You need to be thinking about which kind of people am I looking for? Because you're not only pitching your idea, you're pitching to get the attention from the designer, from the programmer, from the biz dev guy that you need to complete your team. So, hey, I'm Peter. I'm building a social network for cats because cats have long been an ignored demographic and wants to connect. And I've talked to at least 20 cats yesterday, and they all said they were really sad about the situation. And for that, I need a designer, I need a UX guy, I need a biz dev, and I need a programmer that knows Ruby. Thank you. That's the kind of pitch that we'd like to see. Well, maybe not that bullshit product, but those contents. Which problem you're solving, how are you solving it, and what are the kinds of skills you need to complement your team.